What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to a new What Should You Buy? This is a series that's been gone for about 2 years on the channel, but I'm bringing it back because we have two big RPGs coming to the Nintendo Switch in February 2021, and I wanted to talk about them, compare and contrast, and kind of give my thoughts on what you should check out. So if you do like videos like this, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and drop a comment below when you're done watching the video. Now let's go ahead and start off first with Persona 5 Strikers, getting the official breakdown from Atlus. We'll talk about some of the key features, then I'll go into my gameplay time with the title. Looking for some rest and relaxation, the Phantom Thieves set out to begin their road trip until a ruthless Kyoto detective enlists their help investigating a series of strange cases occurring across Japan. Otherwise, he'll arrest Joker. As they dig deeper into the mystery, they discover another realm where innocent people are being jailed and forced to forfeit their heart's desires by the whims of its ruler. In typical Phantom Thief style, they're going to use everything they've got to liberate the imprisoned, return their hearts, and strike back against the corruption in their most explosive fight yet. Now, the key features in this game, according to Atlus, are brand new story and sights. Persona 5 Strikers features a deep story campaign and thrilling combat that makes for a true Persona experience where you can visit 6 different cities across Japan, cook tantalizing regional recipes, and lend a helping hand to those in need. You can also fight in style because this is developed by the Omega Force team, so the developers behind the Warriors style of games, so you can attack enemies in the hybrid battle system that fuses explosive action combat with pause and plan sequences to decide your next strategic move. You can gain an advantage over your enemies by ambushing them, striking their elemental weaknesses to knock them down, and deal finishing blows with an all-out attack. And last but definitely not least, harness the power of the Phantom Thieves. With all the Phantom Thieves are fully playable, so you can utilize each character's specific skills and summon their personas for smooth, elegant combat, strengthen up their skills with master abilities, and much more. So let's go ahead and talk about this, guys, because I've been playing Persona 5 Strikers for quite some time now. Atlus did give me a review code, so I've been playing it on the Nintendo Switch. I want to first and foremost say, guys, this game on the Nintendo Switch is still good. There's been some comparisons out there with loading times and some other things, and I agree. Definitely, you might be able to find a better option on a different system, but for those who want to be able to play the game portably, because there is a ton of content in this game, and I found myself often when I wasn't capturing footage on my capture card hooked up to my PC or my living room TV, I was actually playing the game a lot in portable mode. Now, what you're going to get is 30 frames per second. You are going to get a 720p resolution or a lower resolution, but it's still very fun, still very fast, and still very action oriented, and you're going to have a lot of fun ripping through some of these enemies. Now, the biggest thing, or at least the controversy, or I'm not really sure what to call it beforehand, was if this is a Warriors game or not, because it's made by Omega Force, Koei Tecmo, those developers. They do the Warriors games, and some people get tired of the repetitive nature of the Warriors games. And now that the game is out, people can play it, you can see for yourself. Pretty much what I've been saying about the game is just true here. It is not a Warriors game. It's more of an action RPG with some warrior elements. It uses the combat system from the Warriors game, but there's so many different wrinkles in there that kind of mix things up from the typical Warriors game. The structure is almost completely different, to where you don't just always get dropped in a huge map, then all of a sudden you're just fighting a bunch of enemies and you're capturing strong points. That's not the structure of this game. You're going to have dungeons and labyrinths. You're going to have battles where there's only a few enemies on screen, then you have to fight them, then you get experience after you beat them. You're going to have platforming parts in this game. You're going to have stealth parts in this game to where you can ambush them, like Atlus says here. It's a completely different vibe and way of this game. It is just not the same like a Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, for example, which I love that game. It's not just like that, and I played the heck out of the game. Heck, it was my game of the year last year for the Nintendo Switch, so it's not like that at all. So if you don't like Warriors games, you might want to give this one a spin because it's actually really good. Like I said, I see it more of an action RPG with some Warriors elements. Now, don't get me wrong. There are times where you have a bunch of enemies and you're slashing people up and you're just going ham, but with the strategic pause and play type of gameplay, the weaknesses and resistances, some of the other things that they've done to infuse the Persona brand well into the combat, not just from a visual perspective, but into the combat as well, you're going to get a lot of value and substance out of this game. You're going to get a lot more than if you didn't like the Warriors games and you want something of like a typical action RPG experience. This game delivers on that. So even if you haven't played Persona 5, or if you don't like Persona 5 on the PlayStation systems, you can still play this game and enjoy it if you're more of an action RPG person. So the game is packed full of content. You're gonna get 50 hours plus in this game. If you want to complete it everything, you might even be more. There's all sorts of difficulty levels for you. It has English and Japanese dub. Everything is pretty complete in this game. The only problem, I guess, for the Nintendo Switch version would be the frame rate compared to the other versions, not 60 frames per second. That would have been nice. And of course, the resolution not quite as sharp as you would see for the other versions of the game. But let's go ahead and let's turn it over to the next game here, and that is Bravely Default 2. Man, am I excited to talk about this game. Nintendo did get me a review copy for it, and this game is a continuation of the Asano of the Bravely series. This is the third game. We had Bravely Default 1, Bravely Second End Layer. Those were two Nintendo 3DS games, and now we have Bravely Default 2. Now, the thing about this, guys, is that this game doesn't tie back completely to the other two games. So if you haven't played the Nintendo 3DS games, you should be okay here. But I do want to go over the official information from Square Enix, and then we can kind of break down what makes this game really awesome. So a brand new entry in the Bravely series. Embark on a search for 4 crystals in the latest entry in the Bravely series. Explore a new world filled with new characters with the atmosphere and gameplay the series is known for. 4 new heroes of light emerge. Save the continent of Exiliant with the help of new heroes of light. Follow the story of the young sailor Seth as he sets out on a grand adventure and meets plenty of friends and foes along the way. The Brave and Default battle system is back. This is one of the best things about the Bravely Default games. Balance risk and reward in turn-based battles. Characters can make multiple moves in one turn, but then they may be unable to perform actions for a while. The balance is the key. Now, here are some of the key features that make this game hype as well. A brand new world, new story, all new characters. Heroes of Light are ready to save the world. Now, one of the main key features with this game too that Square Enix also details, which I'm going to get into a lot, is the different job and skill ability system. You can customize each one of your party members to fit your strategy. The more you learn, the more tactics you'll wield. Find and defeat one of the powerful bosses who hold an asterisk to take on even more jobs. Take down Orpheus for the bar job, or fell Dag to become a vanguard. So let's talk about this here, guys, when it comes to Bravely Default and also with Persona 5 Strikers. So we have an action RPG with Persona 5 Strikers, and this is a turn-based RPG. Now, in my playtime with Bravely Default 2, what I love about it is that it's a very fast-paced turn-based RPG. This game, you stand still, but you can speed up the time. And since you can use the system, it's called the Brave and Default, to where you can actually stock up on turns when you default, and then you can unleash your turns afterwards. It really makes battles fast-paced despite you not moving at all. And with the ability to do different types of attacks within all of your turns. So if you want, you can do magic, then you can hit them one time, then you can use an item, then you can do something else all in one go, and all of your characters can stack up Bravely or Default. So even if you want to, like, let's say you don't have the turn stacked up by using Default, because every time that you pause for one turn in Default, you actually gain one, you can actually just go all right there. It's a risk reward system that creates a euphoria, a dopamine in your brain that makes you say, okay, I'm gonna risk it all and kind of try to bash this dude to oblivion, or bash this enemy to oblivion, or I'm gonna stock up, use my different skills and abilities intelligently, and methodically plan out how I'm going to dismantle this opponent. And that's what I love about Bravely Default. The job class system harkens back all the way to the old school Final Fantasies. So if you're one of those fans, man, that have played those old school RPGs and you want a grand adventure to where you can have a lot of customization and ability over your characters with so many jobs in this game, the most in the series has ever had, Bravely Default is definitely your game. Bravely Default 2, I should should say, is definitely your game. And you can hop in with this one because since it is a new world, new characters, new everything for the most part, you can hop right in and not feel out of place. Now, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some ties, and I'm not going to spoil anything for you guys. There are definitely some ties back to the first one, but the game is definitely playable by itself despite being called Bravely Default 2. Almost look at it like Final Fantasy 1, Final Fantasy 2, stuff like that. Now, the cool thing about both of these games is that you can check out the demos. Now, of course, here in the West, there is not a Persona 5 Strikers demo, but if you make a Japanese account, you can check it out. Now, here in the West, we do have an English demo for Bravely Default 2, so you can check out the demo and try it out for yourself. Now, however, this is the time that we have to kind of pick one or the other, and here's what I'll say, and this might be a little bit of a cop-out, but here's what I'll say. Since Bravely Default 2 is a Nintendo Switch exclusive, you can't play it anywhere else. I'm more inclined to think this is the best version of the game that you can play. It's going to be optimized for the Nintendo Switch from what I've played. Everything looks nice, crisp, bright on the Switch when it comes to Bravely Default 2. Yes, the art style might be a little bit weird for some people, but the graphics in the game are actually really impressive when it comes to the character model and style. The more you play of it, the more you're like, okay, wow, this actually looks pretty good. So it is optimized, it is made, it is built for the Nintendo Switch. And if you don't mind the turn-based combat, if you're indifferent on RPG battle systems when it comes to action or turn-based, if you love them both equally, like myself, then Bravely Default 2 is the game to go with because I think that it's fully optimized for the Nintendo Switch. And if you have a different system, you can play Persona 5 Strikers on that system and get a little bit better frame rate or resolution, graphics, whatever the case is. So I would pick Bravely Default 2 for the what should you buy, since there are a little bit better options on the technical perspective for Persona 5 Strikers. However, if you're an action RPG fan, if you like those more than you like turn-based RPGs, then definitely Persona 5 Strikers is the game for you. And if you're awesome, you should buy both of them. If you can, of course. If you can, buy both of them. But I would pick Bravely Default 2 since it is the Switch exclusive and it's built for the system, kind of optimized for it. I've had so much fun playing through the demos and what they've offered so far. And once again, like I said, Persona 5 Strikers, great game, but definitely other places that you could play it later down the line as well. And maybe even get a discount too while you're at it. Right now, both these games are new, so they're both $60 on the Nintendo Switch. And of course, Switch exclusives tend to not drop in price as fast as non-Switch exclusives, but the choice is yours. What do you guys think about this? Which game will you be picking up, or will you be picking up both of them? I'd love to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Check out the links in the description. We've got Twitter. Go and give us a follow on there. Stay up to date on all latest gaming news and information. Also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you can. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one. Peace.